And then we had with January, taking January off, we've kind of, in my opinion, we've kind of been a juggernaut ever since.
Absolutely.
Now, we've caught some national attention. Especially with someone socking Charlie in the face.
That did happen.
I mean, I'm glad Rodney got to him first, because I managed Charlie. Charlie and I have worked together for almost a decade. And, I'm in the back watching it like this. And Rodney sticks the guy.
Yeah, as he should.
And security moves the guy along. And Charlie is, when Charlie shakes it off and goes, I mean, poor security guy must have got hit like 2-3 times. Because Charlie's trying to get around him to get the guy.
Right.
And we got some attention for that. We got some attention because of poor Enzo and his injury. I'm glad he recovered, but he really probably should have considered having representation. Representation could have prevented some of these things.
If he would have happened a certain empire, it might have not happened. But,
Exactly. People don't think of these things. You don't go, if I had representation, perhaps
it may have been a cricket bat that could have gotten in the way.
Yeah, no, maybe somebody could have lost, mobility in a knee or an ankle. I've got personal experience with it. I know.
Yes. Well, it was the words of Andrew Anderson that said the attorney of the Rabid Empire violated attorney-client privilege when the attorney snuck up behind him for a cheap shot. What do you make of that?
I mean, look, I think that it was just a series of miscommunications. That's what I believe. I think that my attorney misunderstood a nod, and that Mr. Anderson misunderstood the intention thereof. It was obviously it was smoothed over, because we wouldn't have been standing together at the Irving Convention Center if it hadn't been a giant misunderstanding. And obviously I explained it well enough that Andrew Anderson was willing to come to the ring with us and not throttle me there. But let's talk about what happened in Irving, shall we? So Mr. Anderson had come to the ring with the War Kings, and the intention, as I'm sure you guys have noticed since our show at Eddie Dean's Ranch in Dallas, Texas, is that the War Kings are going to climb to the very tippy top of the tag team, because they were due to be a part of the tag team tournament, and due to forces outside of their control, were unable to participate in it. So our attempt to collect the titles from OMGs was simply nothing more than we didn't get the shot that we were due. If we were given that, none of this would have been a thing. But
now you have to take it.
Teddy wanted us to climb the ladder. So we start climbing the ladder. And so it was my intention that this 6-man tag was really going to be a 5-man tag. Mr. Anderson was there because it was required that we have a third competitor on our team. But the intention was to prove to Teddy Null that Crimson and Jack Stane were going to do exactly what I had said they were going to do, and climb to the very tippy top of the tag team ranks. And if that meant destroying 3 men in the process, that's what Teddy Long chose. It's not my fault. It's not the War King's fault. Jack Stane and Crimson are absolute saints. They're wonderful human beings. But even though this was communicated, I thought quite articulately to Andrew Anderson wanted to be a part of things. And even though it was communicated, I thought quite clearly, both through what we discussed in the back and the things that Jackson Crimson were doing in the ring, Andrew Anderson decided, no, I'm going to tag the back of Jack Stane and get into the ring myself and do things. And he did that. And when he decided he wanted to tag out, the workings right. No, you decided to go against the plan. If you're going to go against the plan, you go ahead. You show us all your good and hard work. Right. The problem is I don't want Andrew Anderson to get that pin. It needs to be Jack Stain, needs to be Crimson, because we are climbing the ladder. That's what we're doing. Teddy Long told us to climb the ladder. So we're going to climb the ladder. And it doesn't matter if it's the Awakening. It doesn't matter if it's the Mortons. It doesn't matter if it's OMG. It doesn't matter if it's Andrew Anderson and God himself. We're going to climb to the very top and claim the SWE Tag Team Championships. But Andrew went for a pinfall. Not my plan. I get up. I'm yelling at Andrew. Andrew knows full well I communicated. I used English. Maybe not American English, but I used English, the correct English, the English you all should be speaking anyway. And instead, Andrew Anderson decided to take exception to the fact that I was correcting him on his decisions. Pulled me to the ring, punched me in the face. Now,
unwarranted, of course.
Absolutely unwarranted. And if you are, if you're friends and family with an employer, you care for that employer. And Jack Stain, known Jax for several years. Crimson, known Crimson for several years. Been on separate continents with Crimson. Was there when Crimson challenged the Great Khali for his CWE Heavyweight Championship in, what was it, Pranipat, I believe it was. Or no, it was Udupi, in Udupi, India. Wow. Or Urdupi. Udupi. It's a word that starts with U and ends with pi. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So I've known these lads forever. Forever. They are my friends. They care about me. They see me get hit. They come in the ring to protect their friend, protect their manager. It was nothing personal against Andrew Anderson. Nothing personal. Just a little bit of, every once in a while, a family has a child that needs some correction. And I'm not saying that Andrew Anderson is a child. He's far too impressive a competitor to call him a child. And he hits too hard for me to say that in any way that's ever recorded. He's not a child, but it's the closest. When there's a family member who has done something wrong, you have to correct that path. Sometimes discipline has to be corporal. Sometimes. It's just how society works.
But may we discuss the interruption by Nobi Bryant?
I mean, we can, but what would you like? I mean, the fella doesn't even understand trousers correctly. I mean, one side's short, the other side's long. What's going on with that? Because the Japanese thought that was an incredible fashion. I've seen the Japanese fashion sense. They're brilliantly creative people. None of it would float over here, probably because we're a bit stoic about fashion. And maybe it would be better if the Japanese fashion bled over here. I stand corrected. Maybe it's a good idea. But at the same time, what is with those trousers?
Well, just to add to that, Nigel, I think this is the question a lot of people have. Is this infighting happened under your leadership of the Rabid Empire? So what do you say to somebody that feels that this could happen again under your leadership?
Well, I mean, you make it sound like this is something like a White House squabble, and there's been. I mean, it's a family, Michael. It's a family. Families always end up having some level of disagreement, some level of infighting. If like any family, like any patriarchal figure, if one member of the family steps outside and does things wrong and becomes a prodigal son, they are absolutely welcome to come back, repent of their sins, and be welcomed back with open arms. We'll slaughter the fatted calf. We'll have a feast. We'll celebrate. All Andrew needs to do is admit that he made a mistake. Admit that he got a little bit too enthusiastic. Admit that things went to his head. Now, I have nothing but love and respect. But if Andrew insists on going down this path where he is interfering with the War Kings, interfering with me, interfering with the Rabid Empire, who just a few months ago, he was very excited to be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
If he insists on doing that, then what? My hands are tied. What can I do but defend myself, defend my friends, defend my clients, defend the interests of the Rabid Empire, which is to prove that the Rabid Empire is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, professional wrestling faction that exists today.
Absolutely. So what I'm hearing is you have complete and utter confidence in your guys.
I'll be completely and totally honest. If the War Kings stood across the ring from everyone, not anyone, everyone, I pity everyone. Jax Dane, Crimson are warriors.
Yes.
They are men who have served in this country's armed forces, and God bless them for it. They have fought defending everyone's right to be as whatever they want to be towards each other. And
Right.
after 2020, I think we all know that that really means whatever
we want
lunacies we all decide. Well, now they have faced insurmountable odds. They are, in my estimation, maybe indestructible is not the right term. Maybe they're indomitable. They are a force in professional wrestling, the likes of which perhaps we have seen once before. And I'm excited about the very existence of them. I've been excited about the War Kings since Crimson reached out to me years ago and said, Nigel, do you know anybody who has been a United States service person that's in professional wrestling? I mean, just the fact that the question gets floated gets the heart pumping, gets the excitement going. And so put everybody. The War Kings are going to end up the SWE Tag Team Champions. We're going to represent this company in a way that only the War Kings and the Rabid Empire can do. And that is by proving to the world that tag team action is at SWE Fury. And we're the top of the game.
And on that note, I want to kick it to Forrest for a question. Forrest, what's your question?
Yes, Forrest, by the way, I guess I didn't hear me earlier, but anyways, I was going to ask you, so do you prefer, you were talking about you commentating, do you prefer managing or commentating? You know,
it's really funny. I do a lot of commentary, and I've traveled internationally for commentary. There's a reason why I worked for the Great Khali in India. It's the reason why I worked for the Pro Wrestling Federation of Pakistan. I do a lot of commentary for SWE and for several other companies in the Dallas Metroplex. And there's a lot of fun in commentary, especially if you've got a great partner. If the person that you're working with is really good, really exceptional, then commentary is exceptional. I love working with Bob Maltlin. It is an absolute honor to sit next to Kevin Sullivan. It still makes me a little giddy to think about it. But I've been blessed with other people in other companies. I recently worked with Chris Russo, and that was wonderful. I love working commentary with Brittany Nicole. She when it comes to wrestling knowledge, she is staggering. She really is. She's one of my favorite people to it's one of my favorite people to watch independent wrestling with and pick her brain on what she thinks. And she's one of my favorite people to go to a show with and come away with, okay, so what did you think of the show, and listen to what she's got to say. And the way I broke into the business is I broke in doing commentary. I got my first job in wrestling because a friend of mine who shares my same love for Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan as the greatest commentary tandem in professional wrestling history. He ended up getting silly little commentary spot live over house mics in a small company in 7 Points, Texas, North Texas Wrestling Alliance, which is actually the company that, if you guys are familiar with former SWE star Barrett Brown, that's where Barrett, that's the company that Barrett trained at and had some of his very first matches at.
Oh, okay.
That's what I got into the business doing commentary. But commentary over the house mics is not really well liked because it gives away things in the business. If you're talking over the house mics about how someone's cheated and the referee isn't going, wait a minute, somebody cheated and you just admitted to it, then it looks kind of bad on the referees. If you say about someone's, someone's winding up for a super kick and the guy who's not winding up for the super kick doesn't go, wait, what? I'm in danger. I need to get out of the ring. You make people look dumb, make people look, and you can always make the excuse of, well, I was too focused on this to pay attention. But there are folks who aren't too focused on that, and fans notice that, and we have to pay attention in this business to what fans notice, because whether it's smart marks or whether it's just someone watching and going, wait a minute, that didn't make sense. Why didn't it make sense? If things don't make sense, then we pull people out of the believability of it. And if we stop suspending disbelief, it stops being fun. It's like going to a movie and watching a movie, and instead of the CGI awesome background, you see the green screen. Pulls you out of the experience. Sure, it's fun to watch making of stuff, and it's fun to learn about how things are done. But when you want the story told, you want everything within that little box. If it's not inside that little box, well, then you stop paying attention to that story, stop paying attention to. And so while doing that commentary, a new booker came in and stopped that commentary, and I got moved to announcing. And so it was trying to find additional work to grow myself so that I could maybe see, do I want to go and work for, WWE, Impact, Ring of Honor, NWA, et cetera, at the time, and how can I get myself to the position to be able to do that? Well, you got to get reps in, you got to get experience, you got to build contacts. Well, you can't do any of that if you're just working one or two places. So I started looking to see if I could find places. Well, nobody wants to hire. Nobody does a roulette wheel announcer. They have an announcer that they like, and they stay with that announcer. Yeah. Well, because it's like Howard Finkel. Howard Finkel was WWF to WWE, and then Lillian Garcia, and then and just like Michael Buffer and was it Capetta? Joey Capetta? No, I don't know what the other WCW fellow was, but it's like Michael Buffer. What was for WCW is, you have people that you work with and you stay with those people because that helps solidify your brand.
Yeah.
So now, since my commentary was inspired by Bobby Heenan, and I've loved managers and management in professional wrestling. Even when I was a Hulkamaniac, I loved managers. I loved Bobby Heenan. I loved what Bobby was up to. I loved, I started looking into managing, and I started doing some managing. And that's how that's why I still get reps in as a commentator, but I also manage. But to more definitely answer your question, I don't know that I can say that I really have a real preference betwixt the two. And the reason being is I love being in front of the crowd, in the sense of I love being a part of the story. I love being a part of the action. I love being that villain, or in the strange and off chances, I love being the babyface cheerleader manager. That stuff's fun too. Trying to, help the referee catch the cheaters, or being, as I like to refer to it, robbing the boy hostage when the heel's tired of me interfering. But at the same time, I love being a part of commentary. I love help telling, especially when you've got a good commentary team. When you've got a good commentary team, you just walk away. You don't even have to have actually done anything more than stand up to get a glass of water and sit back down. You can be so emotionally invested, so excited, so that you're just, at the end of the night, you're like, oh my God, I'm so exhausted. It was so much fun. And I'm really blessed to have the opportunity to work with Bob, and really as great as Bob is, doubly blessed to sit with Kevin Sullivan and work with Kevin. I mean, that man knows more about professional wrestling than I will ever live.
Absolutely.
And the fact that we have him as a part of our company, much like having Teddy Long. I mean, and because I mean, Teddy, and both of those men deserve to be in every professional wrestling Hall of Fame there is. Period. End of story. But Teddy is unique in the fact, and he's unique across all of professional wrestling, because I want to say only maybe Ron Simmons has the same kind of uniqueness in professional wrestling, because not only are both of those men professional wrestling history, real and true history. First, the first African-American tag team world champions for the NWA, for anybody, was Doom. Ron Simmons and Butch Reed with Teddy Long as their manager. Professional wrestling history. Awesome. Not only professional wrestling history, not just that. And this is the thing that this is the part that's staggering. And we do not understand how significant Teddy Long is. He's not just wrestling history, he is world and civil rights history, because he's a part of that incredible moment in professional wrestling where an injustice was broken.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes,
and that's I think the crazy thing is, I don't know that Teddy fully realizes how significant he is. Don't get me wrong, Teddy thinks he's great, and he deserves to, because everybody in our business think, if you don't think you're great, you're doing yourself a disservice. So don't misunderstand and think that I'm saying anything about Teddy and Teddy's hubris. That's not what I'm saying at all. Teddy's got the confidence that Teddy needs to have to survive this business, because this is a very hard business to be a part of and to be successful at. And Teddy's not only a piece of wrestling history, but he is living civil rights history. And that's one of the most incredible things. And he lends that expertise and that experience and that understanding to everything, because he grasps the reality of this world that we're not going to be able to grasp, because we haven't had those experiences. We haven't had to fight those battles. So Teddy probably knows better the battle of good versus evil than any of us will ever understand. And that's what makes Teddy such an incredible asset.
Yes.
And then Kevin Sullivan, I mean, how can we not be amazed that we've got the Taskmaster?
Yes.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, he has touched some of, if not most of, some of the greatest moments.
Yes.
In our, even crafted some of them.
Yeah.
Being responsible.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and then you take a look at the rest of the people that are involved. Charlie Mack, Jazz. I mean, come on, literally. And I will fight anyone, even Jazz. Although I'm not going to win, I'll fight anyone about this. She is literally the greatest women's wrestling professional in the history of our business. She is a legend, living. She's incredible. Professional wrestling would not be what it is today if it wasn't for Jazz and her work in the ring. Now, but not to take anything away from Rodney. Rodney's incredible. I've learned so much from my association, my friends. I know Rodney just slightly longer. I've known Rodney just slightly longer than I've known Charlie, and Charlie's been a member of the Rabid Empire for slightly longer than Charlie has. And you know, the depth of knowledge that we have as part of the core people in our company now, and our incredible growth. I mean, there's, you know, and there's, you know, and it's not to take away from, you know, any of the other companies that I've worked for in no way, shape, or form. You know, a lot of the companies that I've worked for are amazing companies in their own right and have some tremendous things going for them. Well, but it's been a amazing blessing to work here and be a part of SWE Fury, and I hope to be a part of SWE Fury for as long as my career exists. Now, I would really, I hope and I pray for the day that, you know, we be one of those companies that you say the big three, and one of those initials for the big three is SWE.
For sure.
Absolutely.
And the thing it could very, very possibly happen because you're growing more and more each show. Like our first show with the Carthage, the most recent Carthage show, and that was, I'm the youngest of our little friend group that had been watching wrestling, and I never had the experience of the Attitude Era. And so I, like you were discussing earlier, I was more into the exhibition style wrestling. And then they bring me to the SWE show, and it brings a whole new light onto wrestling for me. And without a doubt, it blew my mind. I was like, this is the kind of wrestling I want to see. And it just
thank you
fantastic. I couldn't be happier going every single month. It's just the highlight of my month. For sure.
And to circle back, talking about your commentating versus managing. I think I speak for everybody here, man. You are exceptional at both. You do a fantastic job. You quickly became everyone's here favorite part of the show. We can't, come out. Everybody in the Rabid Empire, especially War Kings, wow, you did a fantastic job adding them because they instantly shot up to one of my favorite parts of the show. They are phenomenal, and I cannot wait to see them and OMGs in the same ring. So I can't wait.
Yeah, no, you know, I have to give it to the OMGs. When we descended upon them like locusts upon a field, I really expected the OMG, because I mean, not to take anything away from Mike and from Jonathan, but you know, when it comes to stature, they don't line up height wise, size wise to Crimson and Jax. They just don't. You know, John. No, absolutely no. I mean, the adage of it is not the size of the dog in the fight; it's the size of the fight in the dog. You know, those two lads have done a wonderful job representing SWE Fury. It's just my belief that the War Kings can do a better job. You know,
it is what it is.
But that battle is going to be amazing. That battle is you know, I mean, just from the fact that when we descended upon them, and those two guys could have backed down.
Yeah,
they could have, you know, and instead of going back to back and trying, they were standing side by side, all set. I mean, literally, if you go back and you replay that moment in the show, I am scrambling to try and keep some level of order, and I am losing. I would have had to have started hitting people with Boris to get some kind of, you know, the referee showed up and stopped it because I wasn't ready to let the War Kings just beat on OMG and not walk away with, you know, championship gold on their shoulders or around their waist. That's the whole reason why I was stomping. I wanted them to know that this was noticed, and I was hoping that what would happen is that they would get wound enough to say, "Let's do it now."
Yeah.
Teddy came in and stopped it. And the SWE tag team division is going to pay the price for Teddy stopping it, and that's
Going up, man.
it's not
That's
my
not your
fault.
fault at all.
Raising the bar.
No.
Raising the bar, man.
So to
Thank
that
you. Well-
point, Nigel, I want to ask you about the vision of the Rabid Empire as you see it. We've talked a lot about the talent and just the special ability of the entire roster of SWE Fury. Two-part question. Is there somebody that you have your eyes on as to joining the Rabid Empire? And then separately, just in terms of their career, their trajectory in SWE Fury, somebody that you would recommend we keep an eye on as fans that you see going places?
It's a very hard question to answer, and I'll tell you why. Both parts are very hard because as a manager in professional wrestling, you don't just have your eye on one guy. I mean, you can't just look, because you put your eggs in one basket, and now it's kind of like with Mr. Anderson. If everything had been in one basket with Andrew, where would I be right now?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would be showing up at shows going, maybe someday I'd be out there and doing wrestling stuff, guys. There's a lot of talent. I still have my eyes on Niles Blanquet. Bad and Bourgeois are great tag team.
For sure.
I haven't taken my eyes off of Charlie or Rodney, and I never took my eyes off, even though Max is never a member of the Empire, although he has been a part of a tag match that I was a manager over. But to say that there's one person that I'm looking at, that narrows my field and narrows my vision. Now, I will tell you that as far as guys just in general, keep your eyes on. Guys like Bam Bam Malone, guys like Heartthrob Jaden Lee. The Apocalypse Adam Asher was a long-time alumni of the Rabid Empire. If you had asked me that question a month ago, I would have said keep your eyes on Moonshine Mantell. And look what's happened with Moonshine.
Absolutely.
Our women's division, is amazing. I've got my eyes on the women's division because women's championship gold is it's championship gold is championship gold is championship gold. Gender has nothing to do with a fighter's capabilities, with a fighter's skill, with the fighter. And if it wasn't for the fact that some people in this world have to have a qualification to understand, I would prefer that we not refer to a women's. I mean, we not refer to a women's division. It's this wrestling champion and this wrestling champion, but we need qualifiers to be able to understand. I get that categories. Our brains work better when we've got categories. But I mean, for the women, Marty Bell is incredible. Miranda Gordy will never stop being incredible. Remember Miranda Gordy? I've known Miranda her entire career, and she has done nothing but improve every single year. She's she's a great person and a great competitor, and I love the more vicious Miranda. I look forward to more in that. Now and we've had talent like Maddie Renkowski and Alex Garcia, and we've had all of this incredible talent. Now, I mean, whether you love him or you hate him, Mr. Warsaw and the work that he's been doing for us, and now, we've got a tremendous roster, and as a manager, it is my job to keep my eyes on all of them and understand the value and the benefit for all of them, because that's the only way that I am going to grow the Rabid Empire to where I want the Rabid Empire to be. And where I want the Rabid Empire to be is to be synonymous with greatest wrestling stable in the history of professional wrestling. I've got some very stiff competition. It's going to be very hard to dethrone the NWO. It's going to be very hard to dethrone the Heenan family. But I fully believe that SWE Fury not only has the talent to be able to do it, but will also attract the talent to be able to do it as we continue to grow. Because SWE, as I've said earlier, is the fastest growing wrestling company in the world. And you don't grow without being great. Not at the rate we're growing. You just don't.
No.
I mean, like we mentioned earlier, in 30,000 homes in America, not counting, or 30 million homes, not 30,000, 30 million homes in America, pardon me, 30 million homes in America, and that's counting what is able to be seen internationally on Fight TV, internationally on YouTube. I think that I've got a real chance at being able to lead the Empire into making a real mark in professional wrestling, and that's exciting.
No doubt.
What I know to be true throughout history is if empires aren't expanding, they're declining. And so I think you have a very tough task ahead in figuring out how your empire grows and how you lead it to success. And so on that note, I also wanted to ask too about Brittany's competition. We've heard a little bit about it. I don't know if you have anything for us.
She's doing the Miss Health and Fitness competition for 2021. It's an opportunity to be a cover model for Miss Health and Fitness, and apparently there's a cash prize. I didn't realize that until reading the thing the other day. I went, oh, there's money involved. She's doing quite well, and given the fact that she is not a bodybuilder, she is not a fitness model. She's a very beautiful woman. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying she's not, but she doesn't come from any of those backgrounds. She has made it into the top five. And as of the last time that I looked, she's currently fourth, which isn't a terrible thing, but it's not where I would love it if she was at one. I would be okay with it at three, because I believe that the once voting ends this next run, it will go down to the final three, and then it'll be one, because it seems pedantic to go, all right, so we're down to the final three. Now we're down to the final two. It's like, if you get to the final two and the same person's been the final one.
I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, disheartening would be, but I think they're going to get to final three, and once they get to final three, whoever is in the first place at the end of the final three. But I would love it if she were able to make the final three. I'm very proud of her. I'm very proud.
My best to vote every day, and you do very well at sharing the link, and so does she. So anybody listening, go click that link and vote for her, man. Let's get her up there.
Hashtag
yes,
vote for
thank you. Yes. Hashtag vote for Brittany. Now, and the other thing is, I really feel that Brittany is actually who Mrs. Health and Fitness really needs, because it's one. I mean, bodybuilders, tremendous. great physiques, powerful, statuesque women, fitness models, very much the same. But these are people who are professionally fit, professionally healthy. And I think that one of the things that we kind of miss out on in society is we tend to put this is the ideal X. I mean, for so many years, Arnold Schwarzenegger and the way that this country looked at Arnold Schwarzenegger, and actually all over the world looked at Arnold Schwarzenegger because of he was the statue of David if it was carved out of muscle.
Yes, indeed.
But we as normal people who don't have the resources, the time, or the ability to focus on nothing but fitness. We've got jobs and we're doing things. We're trying to live life. We don't have sponsorships, or we don't have somebody who is our patron, or whatever, things like that to help us achieve those kinds of goals. Us normal people look at those and go, wow, that's impressive, but I'll never be that. And I think that Brittany and her fitness journey has been, I know she's been very inspirational. She actually, she received a message. She's received a couple of messages from some of the people on Facebook who've been following us, who've been watching what's going on. And one person in particular had come to her looking for fitness advice because she was inspired, and she had other health complications that not my business to share, but she had other health complications that made her feel like she wasn't able to. But watching Brittany and watching how Brittany has been growing with her fitness journey had really excited and made her feel like this is something that's possible. And so and I think if the Mrs. Health and Fitness people end up listening to this, win, lose, or draw, you really need to have somebody like Brittany, and I feel personally, specifically Brittany, because the problem I think today with a lot of health and fitness is that we look at people who are that idealized.
Yes.
And this is the goal. And a lot of us will never ever be in Triple H's shape.
No.
I mean, the guy is well, probably in his late 50s at this point, and he is more fit than I have been combined my entire life. If we brought the sum total of all of the athleticism that Nigel Rabid ever was.
Right. You need something that people can reach for that is normalized and it's still beautiful. It doesn't have beauty doesn't have to be just this, right? And she embodies that. It's very great.
Thank you. On her behalf, thank you. And I think that's one of the other things that we have in modern culture as a failing is that we only look at one thing for what beauty is.
Right.
We forget that mind, soul, and heart are important too. So there are a lot of very beautiful people who are, once you get past the physical, are very terrible people. And my heart as a human being goes out to those people, because once this stops, you have to relearn how to entreat people to be interested in you as a human being. And that's why there's such a decided difference between Nigel as the character and Nigel as the person. It is because I've done some interesting living as a human being, and I've got, I don't know if some unique viewpoints, but I try to be, as a person, idealized to my father's an Episcopal priest. Now, I try to model a lot of my thought on, the now it's rather cliche, but what would Jesus do? And that's, and when I say that from what the teachings and the descriptions of the man is, not what
people push on you.
Yeah, not the scriptural and the because the ideal of what would Jesus do is it ultimately boils down to love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind. This is the greatest of all commandments, and second only unto that is love your neighbor as yourself, and do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Right.
And herein lies all of the law. And that's a horrible paraphrase, by the way. But for those listening who are not within the Christian faith, take that from a more abstract point of view. When I say the Lord your God, that's whatever your God is. I'm not going to tell you who to believe in. You want to talk to me about it, message me on Facebook. I'll be happy to discuss it with you. And when I say discuss, I mean literally discuss. I have a lot of friends who are on every side of every kind of equation. Now, I'm not here to judge. That's not my thing. My character might judge you, but me as a human being, I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to treat people well, do my best to elevate myself professionally the very best way that I can elevate myself professionally, and of course help raise SWE Fury to being one of the, if not the very best professional wrestling company in the world.
Absolutely. Nigel, you've been so gracious with your time. We thank you so much for joining us. We have enjoyed it thoroughly. I know I have. I think I speak for everybody here, but we don't want to take up no more of your time. Hopefully we can set something up, because we can sit and talk to you for forever. Yeah. And there's so much we can discuss. So maybe we can set something up, you and Brittany. But thank you so much for coming on. Guys, any last closing comments for Nigel?
Yeah, I just asked Nigel if you have any parting words. You want to talk about the upcoming SWE Fury show and the future of the company as you see it.
Well, let's talk about July 24th in Lubbock, Texas, West Texas Fury Fest. You see, as we've discussed many times on this broadcast, Teddy Long made an edict. He said the War Kings are going to have to climb the ladder. I'm here to tell you right here, right now, no shades to block my eyes. You can see right into my very soul. Believe me when I tell you, the War Kings are coming. It doesn't matter what mountaintop you've climbed. It doesn't matter if you've never been to the very top. You see, the War Kings are going to climb that ladder rung by bloody rung. And at the end of the day, you are going to see golden straps around the waist of Jax Dane and Crimson, the War Kings, and you are going to say what I have said all along. The sun never sets on the Rabid
Empire. Great, man. Great. Nigel, thank you so much. That's a wrap.
And thank you for everybody watching and listening.
Thanks, Nigel.
I'll be happy to come back anytime you guys want me to. Just let's work out, schedule. And if you'd like to do a show with Brittany, feel free to reach out to her.
Yes.
I'm sure she'd be happy to. Thank you guys so much for having me on. I really do appreciate it. And thank you for supporting SWE Fury.
Without a doubt. With that being said, thanks everybody for listening.